Hello, second grade. So today we are going to start this paper mosaic mask. Remember, mosaic is an artwork where it's made up of tiny little squares. So if we zoom into this picture and get really close, you'll see how it's made up of tiny little squares. And then as we pull away, you see those tiny little squares make a bigger picture. And so we are going to make a paper mosaic mask. So what you're going to do is start with a black piece of paper. You're going to use a white crayon to write your name and the day you have art. Day A, day B, day C. And then that's the only time you're going to use this white crayon. Then you're going to flip it over and use a pencil to draw a really large U on your paper. You're going to start at the top and you're going to come down to the bottom of the paper, curve around, and back up to the other side of the paper. So you get this really large U. By drawing this really large U, when you cut it out, your name will still be on the back. And if I flip this over, you can see my name is still on the back, which is good. Now we're going to do two eyes. So you're going to take your white paper, a larger white paper. You're going to get two white papers, one that's skinny and one that's wide. So here are my two white papers. This one is for the teeth, this one's for the eyes. So you're going to fold that in half, lay your circle pattern down, and trace around it with your pencil. And then leave your paper folded and cut it out. Cut both papers out at the same time so the eyes are the same shape and the same size. I'm going to flip it over so you can't see my pencil lines. And then in the middle, you're going to draw a smaller circle in the middle of each. So you want them to kind of match as best you can. And then you're going to take a black marker to color those in. Now you're going to glue these eyes onto your mask. Frame of glue. I don't glue them too high because our mask doesn't have a nose. So I glue them kind of lower down on the U. Now we're ready to do our teeth. So you can do your teeth one of two ways. You can draw nice curves for teeth, so they would kind of go like this, and that would be like the gum line up there. Or you can do more sharp, jagged teeth. It's up to you. You can draw them touching the top and the bottom of the rectangle, or you can make them a little smaller if you want, but the smaller that you make them, the harder it is not to make a giant glue mess. So you get to decide. I'm going to do these kind of teeth here. So I'm just going to draw a hill that goes up and back down, and I'm going to try to make a row of them all about the same size, so I don't have some that are smaller and some that are fatter. And then I'm going to cut them out. We only need about 5 teeth. You're going to cut them out separately, so you're not going to just keep this all one row. Now that I have my 5 separate teeth, I'm going to put glue on the side with the pencil lines. So I made sure that I kept all the pencil lines facing up, and I'm going to put glue. Now the reason that we don't cut these out in one big long line attached to one another is it's a mosaic. So a mosaic's made of little pieces that make a bigger piece of art. So we're making little teeth to make a mouthful of teeth. And I like to start in the middle and think this is the middle, so I'm going to put one tooth on one side and one tooth on the other. And I leave just a little space between each one. Because a mosaic is usually made up of ceramic pieces that then the mortar is put in between to hold it all together. And mortar's kind of like a glue for these ceramic pieces. Now, I made 5 teeth, but I don't need 5, so I'm going to set this aside and recycle that. So there's my 4 teeth and my eyes. So now I'm ready to do the eyebrows. They're a contrasting color to the rest of the mask. So you're going to get yourself little strips of this red-orange paper, and you're going to cut. And you don't need to cut this entire red-orange strip up into pieces because you're not going to need very many. These are just for the eyebrows. So, okay, I'm going to start here, and then if I have to cut more, I can always cut more. And that way I don't have little pieces wasted. I can keep this piece nice and long for somebody else to use. And you just take your glue and you draw the eyebrows over the top of your eyes, and then you take these little squares and you set them in the glue, and you leave a little bit of space between each one, and the glue dries clear so you won't see it. And it looks like I am going to need a few more squares. Looks like I need 2 or 3 more. Maybe I'll just do 2 and see where that gets me. You want to try and keep these squares about the same size. In a mosaic, the pieces mostly are all the same size, especially that one I just showed you at the beginning. All those squares are the exact same size, and then they make that bigger whole picture. So now I'm done with the red orange, so now I'm going to use these turquoise strips to fill in the rest of the mask. It's going to be a little tedious, but you can take your time. There's no rush. And you're going to take the strips and you're going to cut them into squares or little rectangles. Try to keep them about the same size. You shouldn't have one that's really big and then a whole bunch that are small. You need to cut them about the same size the best you can. Maybe start with one strip, and then you're going to need more than one strip, but start with one strip, cut it into pieces, and then go from there. And you start at the top of your mask, and you start with a nice straight line. So I'm going to take my glue bottle and draw a straight line across the top of my mask. And my line isn't real thick with glue because that would make a big, huge mess. And these first ones that I put down, I'm going to line up with the top of the black to help me keep a straight line. But as I move down the mask, they're going to be less and less straight. They're going to be put sideways and diagonally to fill in the space. And I want you to just do one line at a time. If I were to put glue all over this mask and then start putting the squares down, the glue would dry before I would get down to the bottom. So just do one row at a time. Now, these are done incorrectly. These blues are touching each other, so I need to pull them down so I leave a little bit of space between each one. And it's okay if they touch a little bit, but you don't want the whole mask to touch. You want to leave some space so it looks more like a traditional mosaic. Okay, so now when I start to fill in around the eyebrows, it's going to be less of a straight line. Okay, so there's my finished mosaic mask. If you have any little squares left over, just recycle those, please, because no one else is really going to be able to use them. And notice how they're all small squares. I don't have any long strips, and I didn't try to cheat and fill in with some long strips. So make sure it's all small little squares like this one here. And then you're going to take this and put it on the drying rack, and you have your finished mosaic mask. Good.